What's up, guys? I'm the Nearsighted Gamer, and I'm finally done. Finally made it past that one. Anybody who's been following my channel, if you watched my E3, I think 2015 videos, and my games that what I expect from E3 video, I think I alluded to RPGs being my favorite style of video games. And that being said, at the time, there were 3 video games that I was looking forward to that had been announced and hadn't been released, and there was like small amounts of information available about them. The 3 games were Star Ocean, Integrity, and Faithlessness. Yeah, I know. Final Fantasy 15 and Persona 5. Well, at the time making that video, my thoughts were that out of those 3, the one that I would like the most would be probably Star Ocean, because there hasn't been a Star Ocean game in quite some time. The last one was, I think, The Last Hope. So I was under the impression that Star Ocean or even Final Fantasy 15 would be one of the ones that I would like the most. Persona 5, I mean, yeah, Persona's great and all, but those 3 games were the ones that I was looking forward to the most. With the exception of Grandia, I think Star Ocean is my RPG that has my favorite fighting style. I've thought about it, and I cannot come up with a difference. I can't come up with a definitive winner between the Star Ocean fighting style and the Grandia fighting style. But I digress. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, and now all 3 of those games are released, and I have played all 3 of those games. Sadly, the only one that I've completed is Persona 5, which I did recently. I have all 3. Well, I had all 3. I own Star Ocean, and I was so disappointed. I saw the reviews of it before, and I just didn't want to listen to them. I was like, well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Maybe all of them aren't going to be bad. They were bad, and then they were barely average. There was no exceptional ones, so I was like, crap. But I'd already pre-ordered it, and I got it anyway, and I played it, and then I saw immediately what they were talking about. With the story, I can't really say because I didn't get far enough into the story to see it really develop. It set up what was happening and what was going on, and I saw it was typical Star Ocean. But they made a few gameplay changes that I just couldn't agree with. The progression system of moves was really big. Instead of, using a move enough times to increase it to the next level or get enough levels to get the next move unlocked, you had to get books, which was weird because if you didn't have a strategy guide, you'd have to just go search them out and use the same move over and over. You really weren't in control, as much control as you were of increasing your levels of your moves more so. And that was a big one for me. I took a break from it a long time ago. I may or may not get back into it, especially not right now, having just finished Persona. Then there was Final Fantasy 15. Everybody knows how much was changed in Final Fantasy 15. They went open world-ish, and they did some changes to the battle system, which made it more action-oriented, which I was fine with. It would have just taken me some time to get used to it. But I felt that the amount of things and how much was available at the time, it wasn't a story and a game that was jumping out at me. I think with Final Fantasy 15, what was going on was it just wasn't a game that I was interested in playing at the moment. It's definitely something that you'd have to be in the mood to play. And once you get in the mood to play it, I think you can probably deal with what they did and possibly make it through. There's a lot of people that like it. I'm sure I will like it. Maybe the story's good enough to carry me through because I'm a big narrative fan. But I didn't complete that. And then also I pre-ordered it as well, as you saw by the deluxe edition that I had. I don't know if you could tell. Then there was Persona 5. Didn't pre-order it. I got it from GameFly. But it is the one out of all 3 that I did complete in its entirety. It took me a whopping 170 plus hours. Yeah, I had to dedicate every moment that I had of video game time to that to go ahead and get it done. I wanted to complete it. I wanted to finish it. I didn't want to have it hanging over there. I didn't want it to be one of those RPGs that you stop playing and then, you go back to it and you're like, what am I doing? And it's really hard to get back to the rhythm. I stuck with it. It took me a bit to get through it, as I told you. But I completed it, and I want to give my discussion review of Persona 5. Okay, so first off, if you've played a Persona game, then pretty much you know how Persona is. You balance your school life. You play the role of a teenager. You balance your school life with your nighttime activities of fighting in other worlds or dungeons for the most part. But in this game, they're called palaces. So you have to balance that by in the daytime, you make friends or confidants. You increase your relationship with them, which in turn strengthens the personas that you get to use to fight. So personas of that type who are associated with that confidant will have more strength, and they'll become higher levels whenever you make them in the first place. You engage in activities that increase certain stats regarding things that you're able to do in your daytime life. It all balances out. It's really cool how they do it, because the gameplay takes place over the course of an entire school year. So you start there and you go through the entire school year. Events are happening during the day. You'll have breaks in school. You'll have festivities, events, things going on that you would have in normal school. You take tests, you take your midterms, all that stuff. And at night or evening, afternoon, you can choose to go fight in the dungeons that progress the storyline of the game, which is the main crutch. So, yeah, with that, things that stay the same are those. I know you still have the Velvet Room and your Persona, of course, like that, and your balancing of day and night and keeping everything even. But things that they've changed are okay, I'm gonna try my best to get through this. The things that they've changed are subtle, or like things that you wouldn't really notice. The weaknesses that you find in enemies as far as gameplay is concerned, those are saved. Things that you wouldn't really, there are things that if you went back and played a previous Persona game, you would definitely notice they were missing. You would compare them to Persona 5. You'd be like, oh, well, Persona 5 had that. I never knew how interesting or how useful that was until you don't have it. So the gameplay is pretty much the same, except for a few tweaks, to help you out. Your weaknesses in this game, you are thieves. So instead of all-out attacks, which are known in the previous games, you have hold-ups. Well, no, you have I can't remember what they're called, but your version of all-out attacks come from hold-ups. Everybody thieves, so they have guns pointed at the enemies, and then you can attack them all at once together if you see fit. And also, being thieves, you have the ability you can negotiate with the persona to get them on your side in order to capture them. You don't have to use the card system from previous games. When I say previous games, I'm going to refer to 4, because I didn't complete 3 and I wasn't even aware of 2 and 1 whenever they were out. So when I say previous, I'm just going to be referring to 4 Golden, which is the one I played. I'm sure 2 is pretty much the same beat for beat as Golden, just carried over. And you can get Persona in that way. And also something that's really cool, things like, if you're negotiating to get a Persona, then if something happens and your character gets knocked down, not knocked out, but like knocked down, their weakness gets hit, then one of the enemies can take them and hold them for hostage and demand items or money from you. And if you don't comply, you could actually lose that ally. They will just take them out. And the first time that happened to me, I was like, whoa. I mean, I was upset, but I thought it was a cool aspect to have in there because if it goes one way, then it should go the other. I mean, that only makes sense. That just shows how much more they put into this game. With the way it looks, it's very comic book style-y. The characters, other than the normal shaded texture, the animated scenes, they have animated cutscenes that they do in several Persona games, and they have comic book sections like when two characters are talking, there will be a cut, not a cut scene, but a part cut out of the screen, showing just the character's eyes and dramatic poses and all that, looking like that or gasping, the way they would do in comic books, but animated style, very comic booking like that. And the look of the game has all kinds of, I would call them, action words, I'm trying to make this sound as good as it is. If you haven't watched, go watch a trailer for it, and you'll see what I mean by the look of it. I'm sure they'll show it. But the game looks cool. It has the style that goes along with the atmosphere of the game. You're thieves and you're sneaking into these places and you're stealing things. And it fits. The way you're dressed, you have masks on because, you can't be seen. They'll see your secret identity. Duh, right? But yeah, they have that. Their clothing, everybody's clothes, is separate and identifiable to their character and their code name. Is there anything else that is different as far as the gameplay? I already said, and the style and the way it looks. I mean, it's normal. The normal Persona type, you can move around. It's in 3D. You can go to places. You have maps. Actually, I don't know if you had a map before. You have a map that you're able to go to different places on the map, and since you're actually in Tokyo this time, it's some place that they actually mapped out. There's places in it that are in real life. You go to Central Station, you go to the shopping district, the Underground Mall, your school, which I don't know if that's a real school or not, but all those are there. And since this is modern, you're using your cell phone to do so. So you'll bring up your phone, it'll have a map on it, and you'll pick where to go. As well as, normal conversations whenever you're with characters and all that. There's this system where, since everybody has a cell phone, that they have like this group chat type thing going, which is cool. That means that you can continue dialogue with your other party members or characters, not when you're in party, but you can continue your conversations and have conversations with all your party members at one time on your phone through an open chat, and they don't have to be around you. So you can be at home, you can be at school, you can be in class, stuff like that. You can still conversate and progress storyline with your other characters not being in the same area. So y'all don't all have to be gathered around together in order for that to happen. That's a new concept that I will definitely miss in the next game unless they somehow incorporate it, which would be cool. But as far as the story goes, with just like with other Persona games, you're a transfer student from elsewhere who comes to this town. You're a transfer student. You meet friends and you come together and all y'all gather for a common goal. I'll start off with this. There are a series of incidents that are taking place where you are, and people are, having psychotic breakdowns and stuff like that. People are having psychotic breakdowns, and the police are trying to figure out what's going on. You inadvertently stumble upon a plot, I guess. It's typical Persona fashion. Let me just go ahead and say it like this. Through a series of events, you end up awakening your original persona and getting knowledgeable of your power, and you use your power to change the hearts of people or adults. Since you're teenagers, that's how y'all refer to them. To change the hearts of adults who have I guess, gone astray or have or bad people. Not bad as in criminals necessarily, but have a wrong way of thinking. Their mindset is completely messed up. So you change their heart and make it where their heart, where they think differently, and they realize that what they're doing isn't the right way. People who are doing terrible things and just don't care, don't have any remorse, you're changing their heart to give them a different way of thinking. So by you becoming thieves, you have to go inside their palaces and steal their treasure. And, you go inside their palaces, which is manifestations of their way of thinking, of how they see things. There'll be, certain places, and you'll see how they perceive those places. So that will be how the palace will manifest. And those will be your dungeons. So you go inside there, you fight enemies, and you fight that character, their shadow self. And once you defeat them, you change the person's heart, steal their treasure, and that person repents for things that they've done and all the bad things they confess, and you succeed in changing their hearts. Those are the levels. And with typical Persona games, you have a deadline to do so, and if you don't complete each palace during that deadline, then that gives you a game over. Or if you just die in battle, then that gives you a game over as well. Overall, I was excited about this game because it was Persona. I, of course, like everybody else, had no idea what the story was going to be like, how it was going to be. It was just something that I wanted to play. Having only played one Persona game, I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was going to be weird. I knew that much. So when I got it, I jumped right into it, and I liked it. I took to it a lot more than the other two. It ended up being the only one that I've completed, which is weird because I didn't think that it would be the one that I would care about the most, but I do. And I plan on trying to get back to at least one of those. But with the Persona, I stuck with it. I played it. I loved the story. I loved the way the characters developed. I loved how they came together, how they felt for one another. They all were united. And I like what all your just the way Persona works is amazing. There's so many moving parts that come together for one thing. It's not your typical JRPG. It's a Persona game, which happens to be an RPG. If you haven't played one and you jump right in, you have to stick with it. You have to give it a few hours. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. There's so much to set up. There's a lot to explain. But once you get it all down, and once you know what you have to do and how the game works, then you can just play it straight through. You make the choices of what you want to do during the day, what you want to level up, who you want to spend time with, which personas you want to have. You can fuse personas, stuff like that. Once you get going, it's okay. I mean, I know it's hard. I shouldn't say that about a game, but you can't just jump in and go. If you haven't played a Persona game, you have to give it a little bit. It will teach you what you need to know, and it may be slow going at first, but it's so worth it. The story will carry you. You will be surprised at how they do things. These are not real teenagers, but they're living like really real teenage lives. They have school, they have problems, they have things they're dealing with. Like there was one plot point in this game that completely shocked me. I was like, okay, this is going to happen. Like, okay, I know it's going to happen. And then it didn't happen like that. It completely took me by surprise. And whenever I tell people, I'm not going to tell you guys because I don't want to spoil it, but when I tell people who, I'm trying to convince to play it that it's not going to be that big deal if they know, like I told my wife about it, that was amazing how that story went where I didn't think it was going to go. I will say that this is one of the stories that the way getting there was really good. The ending was I like the ending I think with Persona endings, they're going to be how they are. This is pretty much comparative to the last one. It was cool, and it actually, I guess, made sense for a Persona game, but the journey was way more fun than the actual, finale and all that. I like the way they did everything. They upgraded, the things that were already there, and they made them better. Once again, there's little things that if they're not in the next Persona game, myself and I'm sure lots of people are going to wonder where they are and why they're not there. It's going to be hard for them to come up with the next one. Luckily, we have like probably 5 or 6 years, I think, until this comes out, because even if there is another Persona game, it's going to be a while. These games take a while, and it makes sense because there's so much. You can study like a normal teenager would. You can choose to get a job, different types of jobs that upgrade different stats. You choose what people you want to hang out with, and by you hanging out with these people, you have little side stories that progress with you and them, and you see how they're doing and what's going on in their lives. You can go eat. You can go to the library. You can join clubs. I think you can join clubs in this one. I could be mistaken about that. You can play video games. You can watch DVDs. You can work out. You can go online and buy things from the online store. You can buy things from the TV as well. You can take care of plants. You can go to the movies. You can go to the arcade. You can do several things. I mean, it's all there because it's all the way it would be in the world. You just have access to all of it. There's so much in this game, but don't let that scare you away. The visual style is fantastic. It fits with what it's supposed to do. The music, which I haven't talked about, at first I was like, Persona 4, and then Persona 4 Dancing All Night took that music and remixed it and made it way better. I love the soundtrack to that. I was like, this is not Persona 4 music. But this music came into its own, in my opinion. I liked it. I don't like all the songs, but, the main song, whenever you go into the palaces, to fight the boss, that's great music. Your chilling at home music, I'm not going to spoil it. I don't even know the name of it, so I couldn't even spoil it if I tried. I'll just let you know. There's versions of that. That's great music. It has good the music that they have is very appropriate for the times that they use. And you come to like it, or I did. So I know I've been all over the place with this, but I hope I've conveyed that it's definitely a game that Persona lovers should play. Don't pass on this. It got great reviews, and it deserved all the reviews that it got. And those who haven't played, if you like JRPGs, you got to play this one. But I'm telling you, don't turn it away if after 2 hours you're still not doing what you want to do. Just give it a little bit. When it gets there, it gets there. And that's not saying that you have to play it so long in order for it to get good. You just have to play it long enough for it to get established. That's the type of game this is. I told you how many hours I put into it. But it doesn't have to be that many hours. You can determine how many hours you get into it. I think the minimum you can probably get 60, 70 hours. But that's a JRPG. I think you can probably make it out of that. I've heard 90, I've heard 120. I don't know how I ended up with 170. By the time I got to July, I was at 90 hours, and I was like, what the? I think I may have left it running or something, and this time, I don't know. But 173 hours, that's just me. I like to go and explore. I like to level up my characters a lot. I like to just fight and get stronger. That's the way I play. So I added probably a lot more hours than you would necessarily need. So don't let the 170 hour game time that it took me to finish this turn you away either. I'm telling you, if you like RPGs and JRPGs especially, give Persona a try. If you like Persona games, then I don't have to tell you to play it. You've probably already played it, right? Yeah. And so I guess that's it. I hope my ramblings and going all over the place, I hope I somehow kept everything together at least a little bit to let you know what's all in the game for those of you who haven't played a Persona game before. And yeah, that's it. I'm the Nearsighted Gamer. Please like this video if you like it. If you don't, like it anyway because I said so. Follow me on Facebook. Like my Facebook page, facebook.com/NearsightedGamer. Follow me on Twitter @NearsightedGamer, GAMR. And if you're already watching this video and you haven't subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ring my bell, ring my bell. That way you'll always know whenever I put up a new video. Yes, that's it. That's all I have to say. Play Persona, and as always, be excellent to each other. See you, pupils.